and this is the product of an escalation. Honestly, I never intended for things to go as far as they did, but now that I'm here, I'm glad that I did. It's always been a big interest of mine to have a truck in the SEMA show. Honestly, never thought I would get there, but here we are. As a kid, I've always been building things, been lucky enough to have a shop to tinker in. Started with go-karts, fabricating small things here and there. Kind of the way that my work sort of went, I got more and more into fabricating. Of course, the tools have got improved, my skills got improved, and now, as you can see, I have something worth showing off. I just want to say thank you to my friends and my family for supporting me. I wouldn't be anywhere without, I wouldn't be this far without them. Having them come over and help me put bolts in holes. My buddy Steve for helping me late nights doing the body work, the paint. I'm not a painter by any means. I'm really happy that he was there to help me with that. So why don't we go ahead and take a look at the truck. My 2008 GMC Sierra 2500 HD. Yeah, this here is the product of an escalation. I definitely never thought I was going to go this far when I started, but here we are, and I think it turned out okay. So I started off with a mildly modified this truck, if you will. Had a 6-inch lift and just standard tires on there, and it wasn't good enough for me. I needed to have something different, something that nobody else had. So I decided to start this. Originally I was only going to do airbag suspension front and back, but because of the limitations of the GM independent suspension, I couldn't get the range of motion I wanted for the front airbags. So then I was only going to do it in the back, and then I was like, well, there's no point me going through all this work and only having it in the back. So I was like, okay, well, I guess I can do a straight axle swap instead. So went on Facebook Marketplace and found myself some good old Ford axles and started hacking and slashing this truck apart. So everything that you see here, all the suspension components, everything's all custom made. Basically took the entire truck apart, stripped the entire thing down to 2 bare frame rails. Cut off all the factory independent brackets, filled all the holes in that, all the rear leaf spring perches in the back. I basically stripped off absolutely everything I possibly could, and yeah, started with 2 bare frame rails. So the way that this suspension system works, I got triangulated suspension in the back. Cantilevered system, something different, something that not a lot of trucks have. I kind of wanted to do my own sort of take on it. So I did I integrated the sway bar into the cantilever system. So I got a common shaft that connects these 2 links together. There's a keyed hub in here to prevent them from turning independently, so they both turn out the same. That way, because it's so high and because it's coilovers, I didn't want to have the body lean of a lifted truck. So I designed that system, and then that of course created another issue. I wanted to have a hitch on there because obviously you can't have a truck without a hitch. It's just part of having a truck. So I decided to build myself a new hitch. Now the factory trucks all have a spare tire holder, cross member, keeps the frame rail strong in the back, keeps everything nice and strong. So that was a stamped part. I didn't like it. It was ugly, it was bulky, so I took it out and I integrated my hitch into that cross member so that the frame still stayed strong and I had, you know, a nice fabricated hitch. So that's kind of where I was going with that. The axles out of a 2007 Ford. Put the trusses on there. I had the triangulated to keep the axle centered, and because it's a coilover system, coilovers are technically or typically they're a lot softer than a leaf spring. So if I were ever to tow anything, back end would squat. So what I did was I did a hydraulic ride height system right here. So this here's a hydraulic cylinder. Got the hoses right here. I got the power pack in the box of the truck, and I have that hooked up to an app on my phone where I can control the height of the back of the truck 4 inches. So it's not a lot, but just again something different. The front is just a 2-link system with a panhard bar in the front. I got the front sway bar set up right here. Again, shaft crosses. Got a key hub in here and the 2 links going down to the axle. So yeah, these factory knuckles here, modified them. Factory tie rod here is usually hanging from the bottom. I brought everything up, brought that drag link up as well to improve the steering angles. They're still definitely not ideal, but it's a lifted truck, not a practical daily driver. So that kind of sums up the suspension. Bumpers, fabricated them. This year truck, there's not a lot of real nice aftermarket bumpers for, just because of the way that the front of the truck and the body panels are. So I decided to go ahead and fabricate some new ones as well. I brought everything up. The factory bumper usually hangs down probably about say this far, so I tucked everything up, kind of open everything up and have you be able to see more of the suspension rather than having it hidden by the bumper. So I brought the bumper up because of that. I had to change the grille as well. Again, the factory grille is probably this tall. I tucked everything up just to kind of make it look a little bit different, a little bit less like your typical 2008 body. Yeah, the back bumper again, also fabricated. Yeah, kind of just I like the way that the body lines sort of matched, but I didn't like the look of the factory one, and because I was doing everything else, I needed to do the back bumper as well. Yeah, got these 24-inch American Forces sitting on 40-inch Toyo MTs. Aftermarket lighting, made a made a wiring harness for all of it. Tried to kind of tuck everything where you couldn't see. The amp research steps come with their own wiring harness, but on the bottom of the truck, I kind of wanted to tuck everything away. So I tucked all the wiring in the door sill so you can't see it. Just kind of comes up to the bottom of the cab, runs the door sill, so nice and clean. The brake system, obviously I couldn't use factory brake system. It wouldn't work with the axles nor with the trusses. So I had to go ahead and make my own stainless lines. So I got the hoses here, stainless lines run up along the 2-link bars there. As you can see, I got some wiring here and some brake line there, so kind of tried to tuck it and make it as nice as possible. Same thing for the back. You can see the brakes come along there, runs along the triangulated bar there, and try to keep it nice and tucked. That way you don't have the lines coming from the frame and then just jumping straight down. I kind of like try to keep everything nicely tucked and where you can't see it. Obviously, there's a pack of wires probably this big for all the aftermarket lighting. I got a dual compressor setup for my horn blaster's horns. Again, the solenoid wiring, all that sort of stuff, the relays, everything's all nicely tucked where you can't see it. So that sort of the aftermarket stuff. So the engine on this thing, 6.6 liter Duramax. The internals I kept stock. I didn't get into head gaskets, none of that sort of stuff. So what I did do, I did a full emissions delete, DPF EGR, got rid of all that stuff, all the sensors and wiring and all that along that goes with it, trimmed that all back, tucked it into the harnesses. All the factory wiring harnesses, I stripped the plastic split loom off there, and I put a braided split loom back on there again. So kind of a nicer material rather than the hard roughened plastic. Obviously this truck has 200,000 kilometers on it, so nothing underneath there was new anymore. It has engine grime and dirt and all that sort of stuff. So cleaned those all off, stripped that back. I did AFE headers, up pipes. I got a Whirly custom fab high flow intake bundle, all the turbo piping to go along with that. Custom exhaust system. I built a hexagon exhaust pipe, stainless, comes out from the head, from the downpipe to the back here. I did a twin tip system, kind of looks like a bit of a snake head. So that's all custom. I didn't like the look of the round pipe and I wanted it to be different. So I did a hexagon pipe and yeah, these two exhaust tips. I also did a fuel system, custom fuel system from the engine back. I did a fuel tank relocate, put the fuel cell in the box. Again, none of the factory fuel lines were going to work out with my suspension setup, so I did formed up my own fuel lines from front to back, the lift pump in there. So yeah, I got the relocated the fuel tank back. You can see the fuel cell right there. Kind of gave me the advantage of having a nice clean looking tank rather than the big long factory plastic one, which also again wouldn't have really worked out super well with my triangulated 4-link bars in the back. So kind of two birds with one stone there. For the inside of the truck I did a bunch of work to as well. New leather seats, got rid of the factory vinyl, went with a genuine leather from leatherseats.com. Really nice fitting kit, fit together really, really well. I have absolutely zero experience in redoing leather seats, but as you can see, kind of blundered my way through and it fit really, really good. So very, very impressed with their stuff. I did a full factory Bose system delete, factory subs out, the head units out, all the wiring, speakers, everything. Started over from scratch, so I went with a amplified speaker system, changed the door speakers, built these speaker boxes to house the new 3 speakers. Again, did the same thing for the back. Didn't quite go as extravagant on the boxes, but I mounted the speakers externally kind of in a nice little bezel piece. So looks a little bit more trimmed than hiding them behind the doors. I got a 2 12-inch subs in back. It's a downfire system, subs facing downwards. The headliner, redid that. I did the change color. I did the Galaxy kit. As you can see the lighting in there. Each one of those little tiny dots is a fiber optic cable. So obviously to have to redo the leather, I take the seats out. So strip the seats all out, which made it a little bit easier to get the pillar posts, caps, and all that sort of out of the truck, so I could pull the headliner down. Much as I tried, I could not fit the headliner through any of the doors, so I had to cut the back window out. So that was a treat in itself. Once I got the window out, headliner came out no problem. Stripped the tan foam off of the fiberboard. New black headline material on there, and then of course for the fiber optic kit had to drill 400 tiny little holes, feed the fiber optics through, kind of make everything kind of go to one point, space out the fiber optics as best I could. Glue each one of those things in so they don't pull out. And then once you have everything sort of situated, you have all your wires tucked, you go along with the pliers and you snip off all the fiber optic cables on the inside flush with the headliner so that they're basically visible until you turn the light. So I also did a iPad dash kit. Built a kit to go over top of the head unit. So the head unit is still behind there. If I slide the iPad up, take it out, you can still get at all the entire head unit. So that way I can still control my speakers, and I still was able to retain my steering wheel controls, which is really nice to have. All the dome lighting, the grab handles, everything that was in the old headliner before, of course, had to be painted to match the new color. Yeah, like I said before, all my wiring for my amp reacher steps tucked into the door sills. I had to tuck that up nicely out of the way. I had to run, of course, new power for both my amplifiers. One of the amplifiers I took and put in the location where the factory amp was, under the center console. So if I take the center console where the cup holders are, you pull it out, you can get at the amplifier to do your tuning and all that sort of stuff. So it's invisible, but it's accessible as well.